Joining me here is one of my favorites, and I would say that even if he wasn't on hold, hearing me introduce him on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. His Green Light podcast is very, very popular, and I always enjoy his takes, his opinions. He's Chris Long, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Chris?
Rich, I'm good. I thought you were buttering me up to tell me how much my Succession take was terrible.
It was.
Because I came around on it last night.
You know what? It's funny that that you bring that up first. I was going to bring it up last, but I'll bite. Succession is one of the best television shows I've ever seen. And it took me a couple of episodes of season 1 to get into it. Where
Exactly.
You know, the first couple episodes of season 1, my wife and I are looking at each other like, why are we spending an hour with people that are just so horrible?
Terrible.
Right? Like who do I root for? I don't root for anybody. And then I think it was like episode 3 or 4. It was like a rocket ship that kept going straight up through the stratosphere, and it got so good. And it's still that way. It's this past season that just finished, and I won't do any spoilers here. Spectacular. It's like one episode after another is an opus, but it took you until just now?
I hated it for 90 minutes. I had to get through the first 90 minutes, as you kind of put it. I'm like way behind.
Oh, so you are. Okay, so this is not a current season situation.
My co-host Macon, shout out, was like, he turned me on to White Lotus, which I thought I'd hate. I loved it.
Okay.
He turned me on to Succession now, so I just started it. And I just thought the first 90 minutes, the characters were just so eager to overdevelop themselves and annoyed the hell out of me.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden, kind of like you said, last night it clicked, and I admitted on Twitter that I no longer hate Succession. I'm done hating Succession. I'm into it. So I'm excited to see the next couple seasons.
I am now officially jealous of you because the show is truly, Chris, I've never seen a show where the last show actually that got so good from episode to episode was Breaking Bad. That was the last one that was just like, oh God, that was incredible. And the next one was like, that is a classic. That's an instant classic. Yeah. And no dramatic show, supposedly, makes me laugh out loud more than Succession. Laugh out loud.
Good.
It's so
I'll admit it. It's pretty good.
All
so
right. Welcome.
You got Bert in studio today? I'm pretty jealous of that.
I do. Bert Kreischer coming here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, shirts off, man.
The legend.
Shirts off. Hour number 3, not mine, but, just trying to give everybody what they want, which is more Bert Kreischer. So let's just jump into this right here, Chris, with what's going on in Cleveland and COVID-19. Do you think, would you want to play this game, or would you want it canceled, pushed back? What do you think players are thinking about right now?
Man, listen, I
Chris.
gambled on a game last year with a Wake Forest quarterback who was like a wide receiver. The Hinton Taysom Hill game.
Correct.
I actually had to stick it out, and I bet that game on a Wednesday and had to stick it out and watch it. I don't feel bad for anybody. Get creative, win football games. This is entertaining to me. I hate the COVID part of it, but I am interested to see, what teams are the most malleable, which teams have solutions to these problems, who can hit the curveball the best, because we all signed up for this, over these few years, and we'll see how long this stuff lasts. But it's the reality that you're dealt. And, we didn't bend for that last year. I lost a few $100. I don't feel sorry for anybody now.
So what about if you go back to the days where you were playing, you're sitting in this locker room? You have the same sense, obviously, not laying anything other than your...
I'm really not sure how I'd feel. The way I'd probably feel, though, is that, I got to control the controllables, which is, I haven't heard anything about that they're considering pushing a game back or anything like that. But I also decided this week that I wasn't going to ride the COVID wave and keep up with every inactive. I saw a list yesterday that was 40 names long. And
right.
I think that's the big thing that people didn't think about is, eventually it gets cold, people hang out inside more, and the transmissibility goes up, and we're going to be dealing with this. We thought we were out of the woods, and we're just not from a standpoint of how the NFL's operated with this thing.
Chris Long, 2-time Super Bowl champion here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, so then put yourself in the locker room in Jacksonville. What do you think the players are thinking there right now?
Oh,
Chris?
Get me out of here. I mean, you got to be kidding me. If the things, again, because, unnamed sources and that sort of thing, but when there's enough smoke, there's fire. When there's a football emergency, I think sometimes these unnamed sources can be useful. Yeah, I've been on a lot of bad teams. I've been on teams multiple times worse than this Jacksonville team. They have a couple good players on the team. They've been competitive. They beat Buffalo. They've played people tough at times. But I think they're a poorly coached football team on the surface, and the culture is terrible right now, and it starts with one guy. The thing that I heard he was running those assistant coaches through the ringer is ridiculous, because the irony is it's like giving Mike Vrabel the dead fish handshake. I am Team Vrabel all the way, and I know that they worked together in college, right? Like, it's almost like Urban forgets that he's not that guy in the pros. Like, you're not that dude here. Like Mike Vrabel's that dude here. Like, you got to start showing some respect for the game and respect for the guys that are busting their asses and putting their livelihoods on the line and their health on the line for a guy that's, just cultivated an incredibly toxic environment. It sounds like it's almost like he's throwing the game, and I don't mean the games. I mean, he's throwing the game when it comes to his employment with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as a player, I've been on worse teams, but I've never had a guy running the show that did anything like this, and that makes it really a tough pill to swallow being on a team like that.
Wow. So, I mean, because my reaction to it is that we were all wondering, how's Urban going to handle the losing? Because he lost only 9 times at Ohio State. 9. That's it.
You wondered that?
Well, no. I mean, yeah. I wondered how will he, because if you're taking a job in the NFL, choosing first overall, no matter how generationally talented, Lawrence is, Trevor Lawrence is so terrific, but everyone watches football in that regard, so knows that there is going to be more losing potentially in the first year than you had in an entire tenure at Ohio State, so kind of have to slow your roll when it comes to that, but instead it appears he employs the only thing that he knows when he loses once every 2 years like he did at the other college level, and when you do that over and over and over again, it doesn't work in the NFL, so... And the thing that kind of hit me too, Chris, is that he was like, he's not used to people talking. I mean, welcome to the NFL. I mean, that's...
Well, that's the thing. It's like, really ask yourself, do you think Urban Meyer ran these equations in his head? He's a guy who's used to winning. He expects that he's going to win. He expects that he's going to be successful, to a fault and over that line by a wide margin. So, I don't know, man. For me, it's disappointing, because I do think there should be a standard of like workplace culture for NFL players. We put a lot on the line, and it's a tough hand to be dealt. Like, the average career is 3-4 years. If you're a great player, you play 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years. I mean, like, every year adds up, and your marketability to other teams as far as being, individually, successful in free agency or whatever, like, that tape doesn't go away. And if you're playing in a circumstance like that, schematically or culturally, it's a terrible waste of time. And I just feel bad for those guys. But I don't think he thought through the possibility of him like losing. I don't think that's really an equation that goes on in that guy's head.
And have you ever been on a field where a player comes up to you and says, "Get me out of here"? You have no idea what just happened on the sideline of my team?
Oh, for sure. But a lot of times it's like a dysfunctional relationship with a position coach, or like there's a dysfunctional situation with the GM or something like that. The head coach to be so widely kind of like, what the heck is he doing? I mean, from the James Robinson thing to the disagreement he's had with the receiver room to the whole debacle coming home early in the season. It's ugly, man, and it's not baseball, it's not basketball. It's not like, man, this is going to suck to run around for 82 games, or like, I got to travel with this guy for the year. Like, we're putting our livelihoods on the line and our health on the line, and I think there needs to be like a standard for how the workplace is operating in the NFL.
What do you mean by that? Standard?
What do I mean? This is. I mean, I can't cuss on your show, but it's BS. Some of the things that are happening down there are true. It's a huge waste of time. It's you can't get that time back. Every snap in the NFL is more important than in other sports. I mean, the average careers are shorter, and you waste a year in the NFL, that's career altering, and guys are wasting time down there.
Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, news out of Arizona now is that DeAndre Hopkins is getting a second opinion on a knee injury from the loss to the Rams, and James Conner is now day-to-day with a knee injury, potentially even worse than that. It seems like Arizona had more than just a loss on Monday night, or it's just a week. in the NFL. Well, how do you suss out the NFC right now through 14 weeks,
Well,
Chris Long?
I mean, I think the Green Bay Packers are the best team in the NFC, and the Bucs are right there. I think those two teams are the class of the NFC. I think that's becoming more apparent. Even with Kyler and Arizona playing their best, I just, like the variability in how healthy he might be. Now, I think Cliff and those guys did a good job of resting him this time around. Last year, he had that shoulder injury that lingered for a while. And so it changed the style of football they played. It was obvious to me when he came back against Chicago that they were willing to allow him to make plays with his legs. So I think he's healthy. I think that's a positive. They handled that well. But, when it comes to that division and the Rams have had a little time to figure out the Robert Woods loss. McVay's been kind of under the hot lamp a little bit, and that's uncharacteristic. I think they're figuring some things out. And I do think when everybody scoffed at, like, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, that they're caping for Matt Stafford, talking about how hurt he is. Like, I really do think he was hurt. And I do think he might still be hurt and getting healthy. I mean, and he looked good the other night. So it's a good sign for the Rams. But I don't take too much from that game. They created turnovers. It created a turnover in the red area. You had a 4th and 2 drop by D-Hop, which is last time that happened in 2019 in the red area. They had another a pick. So, that ball he was trying to float to Ertz, and Floyd made a great play. Like, they left a lot of points on the field. So these teams are going to see each other again. I think sometimes in the NFL and with the media, we overreact to every game so much. Like, they played 2 games. They went totally differently. These games are played like in a vacuum a lot of times. Like, little things can happen early in the ball game, like not getting points in the red zone or throwing that pick early, that changed the entire game. So they'll see each other again. I think as you look at that playoff picture, it's tracking that way.
And I want to ask you about the Cowboys. In my opinion, sitting here, I don't say these words lightly. Dak is definitely in a slump, as Jerry Jones essentially said on his radio show this week. And the offense and how healthy they are, and it does concern me, but it can be more than made up for because of number 11, who I think may be the most special rookie at the position since Lawrence Taylor. I wonder what you think of when you see Micah Parsons.
Well, I never sat there in real time and watched Lawrence Taylor. So, I'm always careful because, there's one comparison. You're like, we don't compare people to LT, and I'm not saying you. I'm afraid to do it. But, you saw LT play, and if you're saying that, you saw it happen in real time, Micah Parsons is incredible. I mean, he's an absolute alien, man. To be able to do what he does, I've never seen a player that's a natural – here's the deal, natural pass rusher, not just a guy who ad rushes well that you can move around, that's going to be quick and athletic and hit the B gap on a pressure that you've schemed up for him, and he's a great finisher. He's all those things, and he has pass rush ability. So, this guy is a total X factor. I had Aaron Donald on my pod this morning, plugging the Green Light pod, and he called him a cheat code, and that's exactly what he is to me. When you can move a guy around who's that dominant, who on Thursday night playing the Saints can run with a slot receiver down the left sideline and break a ball up that's, he's 6 yards out of phase. It's ridiculous. And he, I was skeptical about the DPOY thing, but he's definitely in the running.
I agree. Yeah, I don't recall seeing LT in coverage like what Parsons is doing, and LT was a natural pass rusher. You could tell that, right from the beginning. This guy was put on the planet to wreak havoc and make people frightened pre-snap.
Totally.
And that's what I'm seeing from Parsons, is what I'm seeing right now.
Yep,
from
absolutely.
Him. A cheat code. And Aaron Donald calls him a cheat code. That is that's saying quite a bit right there. And that's coming up on your next podcast. When does that drop? The Green Light podcast.
That's out this morning.
All right,
it's out this morning.
Okay,
so give it a spin.
So you do it, and you post. You're moving on. That's how you're rolling. I love it.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour rule.
You're enjoying it, Chris? You enjoying it?
Yeah, we're enjoying the win. We had Aaron Donald on today, Bill Simmons, and then we move on. It's a 24-hour rule.
Okay. I'll come on too, Chris. I don't know if you're
Rich,
if I'm Green Light worthy or
You know who I got? I got somebody from Michigan coming up.
Who's that? What do you got?
It might be a pass rusher.
Is it Aiden?
Oh,
that kid's really special, dude.
So we'll talk about Rich Eisen.
Yes, that should be the first thing you talk about. Yeah, not his
What do you
dad.
think about Rich Eisen?
Not his dad. Not
Most
Ohio
famous
State.
alums.
Not the.
You think Charles Woodson or Rich Eisen? Which one?
Yeah. The start, bench or cut. Yeah, me, him, and Brady. Put him in there. See how I do. See how I do.
Good.
Throw Desmond in.
You on, bro.
Why not? Yeah, anytime, please. I'd love to reciprocate. Last one for you. What you're seeing out of New England is what, Chris? What do you got for me?
Their defense is so ball aware. They don't play as much man as they used to. Being able to generate pass rush with Judon and Barmore, like hitting on draft picks, hitting on free agents, hitting on running backs in the draft like Stevenson's great, and just like being New England, being willing to do whatever it takes to win any given week.
Okay.
And this week is going to be the one week for me where I think I actually like the Colts. But that's if Carson can manage not to do those. Carson's not a volume interception thrower. Okay. Like, I don't care what anybody says. The 1 year was terrible. What he is when he throws a pick, he throws it all the way. So as long as he doesn't go all the way, a couple times this weekend, and I think I bet you Bill's going to try to make Carson beat them. I think this is a really tough matchup for New England. That run game has been a little bit of an issue from them, and their floor was kind of exposed. And it's a good floor to have because they won by 2-3 touchdowns, but against the Tennessee Titans a few weeks ago, they really ran the football. I'm sure Indy's looking at that tape. It's going to be a really good football game.
Look forward to it. I guess going full circle, say hi to Logan Roy. If that's Howie's Logan, who are you? What's the Long family in successsion? If you want to divvy it up. What do you got?
Long family? I don't know, but my favorite character is Tom.
You've nailed it, sir. How many episodes are you in?
Annoying as hell, dude.
I don't know if we need to say anymore.
How many episodes are you in? Really?
I'm 3 episodes in.
And already you have identified. Okay.
Shaking the tree.
Okay. And Greg, the conversations between he and Greg are laugh out loud hilarious. It is just the greatest. Yes,
sir.
I am so jealous of you, but you've gotten it right. That you finally came around, and Tom Wamsgans is your favorite. Wait till this. Oh God!
Don't say anymore.
No.
Don't say anymore.
Just season one.
Else, dude. No spoilers.
No. The rest of season 1 is just a delight. Certainly when it comes to him, and then beyond. Thanks for the call, Chris.
Thank you, Rich.
You got it. Green Light Podcast, everybody. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.